Now, we take you inside a typical American home to demonstrate an inescapable fact. Parents these days need help, and tonight we've come to the rescue with some expert advice. What could turn intelligent, independent-minded adults into virtual wimps? You might have guessed it. Spoiled kids. They know how to get what they want when they want it. As Deborah Roberts discovered, it isn't that difficult when you're living with pushover parents.
Children can be the biggest joys of our lives.
Give me anything.
But they can also be the biggest headaches.
Stop, Andrea. I lost your brother. Let's go.
Especially when they're out of control or throwing tantrums when they don't get their way.
You want to do it all by yourself?
It's a tug of war. I mean, we're just battling with each other.
Meet Jeff and Dee Cates. They say they're locked in a constant power struggle with 3-year-old Kevin and 6-year-old Andrea.
Andrea, come here, please.
Whining is part of the daily routine. And so is fighting.
Please don't hit.
There's also lots of negotiating, especially when the kids don't want to do what they're told.
Kevin, look, honey, look what I have for you.
Kevin hates brushing his teeth.
All right.
So watch how far Dee will go just to get him to do it.
Oh, honey.
When he refuses, she pins him down and does it for him.
Bubbles. Don't do it. Oh, don't spit. Oh, don't do that.
Who's in charge in the household?
There you go.
The kids right now rule the house. I don't think
You admit that?
I would admit that pretty openly.
Kevin,
Turn around.
Look what you're
It's
doing.
clear the kids don't respect their parents' authority.
Every situation turns into a big deal.
Breakfast is always a big deal.
You want soda for breakfast? No, we're going to have milk for breakfast.
On this morning, Andrea wants anything but milk.
She cannot have soda.
Well,
You understand that, right?
it's a little late for that now.
No.
Though Dee firmly says no, Jeff has already caved in. What happens to the Cates happens to so many other parents. The kids learn to play one against the other and get their way.
Hey, I said be quiet, didn't I?
And when there's only one parent to answer to, they really take over, like this day at the grocery store.
Kevin! Stop! Kevin! Andrea, come back! Oh, I give up.
It looks like they absolutely push you two around. How did you guys get to be such wimps with your kids?
They're our kids, and we love them. You know, other adults, you know, they're adults, and we can stand up to them. But kids, they pull on your heartstrings, you know.
Sometimes out-of-control kids can cause heartache.
I want to see a purple.
I want to ask you something.
6-year-old Danny Shapiro's parents don't quite know how to handle him. Tina and Dave say they got into the habit of catering to him because he was a sickly child who required heart surgery.
I felt as though he was a cup with a chip, and I realized I felt more for him because I wanted him to be okay.
Danny, get down now.
Danny's health is okay now, but his parents are paying the price for spoiling him early on.
I don't want you hitting towards it. Now you're not going to hit at all.
At times, his behavior is so out of control, they don't know how to rein him in.
He's controlling what goes on instead of us controlling what's going on. And he does that. He knows how to push buttons very well.
That's it. Danny, give me that ball. That's it.
Kids become very comfortable about running their household. They think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Psychologist Dr. Sylvia Rim is the author of Smart Parenting. She sees lots of families where the parents have overindulged their kids.
Drop.
We've all seen the children who have too many toys, but the most damaging form of overindulgence, Dr. Rim says, is when parents hand over power to their children.
How do parents even get to this point where they are actually following the kids' demands?
They want to build self-esteem. And of course, self-esteem is very important for children, but they've misunderstood the way to build self-esteem. Instead of parents guiding them, the kids lead the parents.
And that clearly seems to be the case with the
Didn't
Cates.
see you drink any milk yet, please.
One morning, Kevin whines about drinking his milk.
Come on, you want to do it all by yourself?
Instead of insisting, Jeff pleads with him.
What do you want to do, buddy?
Kevin says he'll only do it if he can sit on his father's shoulders.
Drink your milk on my shoulders.
And guess who gets his way?
How are you doing, Andrea?
The Cates agreed to let Dr. Rim take a look at their family confusion.
There's absolutely no reason for the dad to put this child on his shoulders. But what this dad does constantly is he says no, and then they get what they want anyway.
And they know they're going to get what they want.
No does not mean no. No means, how far should I push?
You get the pink one.
She quickly spotted another mistake the Cates are making. Too many choices. They've given Kevin 12 toothbrushes.
This choice business has really gotten out of hand. And giving children so many choices gives them the feeling that they're always supposed to have the choices.
You want to do it all by yourself? Okay. D. Your turn, D.
Now, he's actually struggling with this child to brush his teeth. Why is this such an issue here?
It's just like saying, I can't handle my son. And so he's being weak, and so the child assumes he can't handle it.
So how is it we adults fall into this trap of giving children so much power? Well, according to the experts, one reason is that so many parents are simply worn out from juggling the conflicting demands of work and family. It's just easier to give in than to say no. For others, like Jeff, it's a way of rebelling against the strict childhood they had.
My parents were pretty strict. Their strictness was something that maybe I resented in a way. So I, in turn, have gone the other extreme with my children and maybe become a little too lax.
Kevin, we need your help to clean up the table. Good shot.
What's the harm, really, in overindulging your child?
The harm is that they don't appreciate it, they expect it, and all they want is more and more and more.
And worse, she says, spoiled children can grow up to be insecure underachievers or rebellious troublemakers who won't respect authority.
They don't feel happy in the long run because at some point the world is going to say no to them.
Tanny.
That's already evident with Danny Shapiro. He's a disciplinary problem at school, and at camp last summer, his instructors complained that when he didn't get his way, he became a spoiled brat. His parents have now decided to seek counseling.
Many parents would look at these children and say they just need a good old-fashioned spanking.
I don't think that would do it. They're already too powerful.
So how do you avoid giving your children too much power? Most experts agree you begin before your kids can even walk.
If you start from 6 months on, teaching the child to respect other people's needs in the family and teaching them that there are limits beyond which you won't let them go, it's so much easier than waiting until they're older.
Who's that?
Psychologist Dr. Burton White has spent nearly 40 years observing early childhood behavior and helping families prevent future problems.
So you have to start right from 7 or 8 months making one point clear. When it's an important difference of opinion, you lose, because I am the ultimate authority in your life. You're too young for it.
But what do you do if you're like the Cates and things have already gone way out of control? They tried listing household rules for the kids to follow, but number 13, going to sleep on time, is a joke.
Daddy, come here.
This is a typical night with Andrea. She'll stall as long as possible before going to sleep.
I want you to stay with me.
No, I'm going to sleep myself. I'm very tired. You want me to come back and check on you?
It's 9:30. Let's go. Come on.
And getting Kevin to sleep can take an eternity.
Go to sleep. Okay, goodbye.
I'm leaving.
You're not leaving.
You're not the boss.
Hey, that's not nice. I'll see you later.
Mom!
Go to sleep. In bed.
Exasperated, she tries everything to tire him out, even brings him a toy.
Oh! Hey, you hit my foot. All right. Okay, good night. Ow!
I got you! I got you!
Okay, I'm going to sleep.
No! Wait!
After 2 long hours of struggle, Dee finally gives up. What should she be doing that she's not doing?
Well, she shouldn't even be in his bed.
That's the first mistake.
That's the first mistake. He's supposed to learn to sleep on his own. This is an example of parents doing too much for a child. It's almost like the parents want to sleep for their children. And it's tremendous power given to the children. They're not going to fall asleep. And her no never means no.
Dr. Rim offered to help the Cates get the power back from their children. This is not a formal therapy session, but after viewing our tapes, she gave them some advice. First, don't sabotage one another's authority. Remember when Andrea wanted soda for breakfast? She said Jeff should have backed up his wife, who said no. Secondly, limit choices and make it clear that a routine chore like brushing your teeth is not an option. And she says, be just as firm at bedtime. The children have to know that when the lights are out, they stay out. And if they protest, close the door.
Think about if you can do it with a closed door now, that may be hard on both of you. But if you don't do it with a closed door now, by the time they're 10 or 12, no door will hold them in.
We visited the Cates 6 weeks later, and already there's a difference.
Finish chewing and sit back up in your spot.
Can I please biscuits from the table?
Sure, take your plate at the same place.
It's hard to believe these are the same children. But the real change has happened with their parents. They're now much firmer about enforcing household rules. The kids now help clear the dinner dishes without a struggle.
Thank you.
So who runs the house now?
We are now the adults in the household, and they know that they need to respect us.
And hopefully they agree. Right?
The Cates are also having success with Kevin in brushing his teeth. He's now down to one toothbrush, and he knows he can't get out of it.
Look at me. If you don't brush your teeth, what happens? No stories, right?
And even the dreaded bedtime is no longer the struggle it once was.
You think they actually like having limits?
Oh, yes. I think they needed it. They really did. So now that we've set some, it's much easier for them to understand and to continue with it. And I'll leave the door open as long as you stay in your bed, okay?
And there's an added benefit to gaining control. Dee and Jeff say they now have more time for each other.
They were both asleep by 8:30, and I'm like, wow, we can hang out together, you know? And we could do what we wanted. It's like a miracle.
Well, both families now seem to be doing okay.
They've made a lot of improvement.
It's possible to get things back on the track.
That's right, that's right.
That is heartening. How do you know if you're on the road to overindulging your children?
Well, the experts say most people do overindulge a little bit, and a little bit is not going to hurt. The trouble signs, or the warning signs, they say, are when your children never recognize the word no. They won't listen to you, when they want more and more and more, no matter how much you give them. And most importantly, they say, if you notice that your children are starting to ask for help for little things that they can do on their own, that's a sign that this underachieving behavior is starting to set in.
Very good. Now, how do you get back power once you have really blown it and given it to the children?
Well, it sort of depends on the age, but the experts say the earlier the better. You can start to set those limits and start saying no and making sure that the children know when they're young. As they get older, though, in adolescence, they say it's going to be tougher and they're going to be rebellious, and it may be too late.
That's tough even if you've done everything right up to that point.
That's right.
Very good advice. Thank you.